This is exactly what we're talking about, though. They lock the school down themselves. You're only making them sitting ducks. Is there any kind of talk of any kind of safe room or someplace where the kids are actually protected? I mean, it's almost like the duck and cover thing.
Some of the things that we've talked about is that we're actually buying some time here, and when we've practiced from lockdowns and from active shooter situations, we're buying time. The flip side of the coin on just releasing kids to send them home is then you've got them out on the streets, you have no parents at home, and the kids are supervising themselves. So that's a concern as well.
Okay, Ken, so I'm an average parent, and I was talking to Bernie Carrick on the radio today, and he said, Glenn, you got to call your schools and find out, what their safety procedures are. And I'm like, Bernie, that's good for you. You're a former commissioner of a police department in New York City. I don't know what it's supposed to look like. They could tell me, we're going to have Jello class, and I'd be pretty okay with it. I don't know. Is that right or wrong? Specifically, if I say, I want to call my school, I want to make sure they have safety procedures in that are right, what are the things that I should be looking for or encouraging them to do?
Here's the thing that you need to make sure that you ask as a parent. Not only do you have safety plans and do you have crisis teams, but more specifically, who's on that team? When have they met? When's the last time that you actually sat down and trained with law enforcement? What type of exercises have you done with your plan? Have you done tabletop exercises? Do you actually practice lockdown drills and evacuations? And if so, when? When were the last 3 times that you did it? When were the last 3 times that your crisis teams met? Because what we know from doing evaluations across the country in schools is that most schools have plans and teams on paper, but they're not practicing. The teachers haven't been trained, and the plans haven't been tested and exercised, and they haven't been working closely with law enforcement on the details of those plans. So as a parent, you're not necessarily looking for every nuts and bolts step, but you want to find out, is it an active living plan or is it collecting dust upon a shelf?
Do either of you know what the percentages are where there is active? I mean, we do fire drills. I remember doing the nuke test.
And this is what's interesting, is in the last 25 years, we haven't had a student die in America in a fire, yet we do fire drills all the time. And now because of Columbine and Virginia Tech, we have these active shooter scenarios. But very few places in this country. Orange County would be one of the leaders, Orange County, California, where they actually are doing terrorist siege scenarios. So we train for fire drills all the time, but we're not looking at things like Beslan, when Al-Qaeda has said, what we visited on Russia, we will visit here 100%. You and I have talked about, it looks like 9/9 or September 10th, 2001. We've got all these dots pointing at our children. Al-Qaeda said they're going to target our children. We need to be focusing on the schools. And what I hear from my sources is less than 30% of the school safety plans are even developed with first responders like law enforcement.
Okay. Absolutely. That's right on target, and they're not practiced. They're sitting on a shelf collecting dust from coast to coast. We're finding exactly that. The schools aren't even practicing the lockdown drills, much less more sophisticated drills.
And as the terrorists change their tactics, the school plans need to be changed. They are living documents that should be forbidden to sit on shelves.
Okay, Ken, tell me, because there's something going on with buses, but we don't know what. They could be just being filled with explosives and blow up football games. They could be pulled up, in the line with everything else. They might be driven into a school. We don't know, but there's a lot of dots on these buses. Tell me the things that would help a parent when they look at a bus. What should they look for? I said on the radio today, I think you've got to know who your bus driver is.
You have to know who your bus driver is, and most importantly, you need to know what type of training your school bus drivers have had. School districts do a great job at training drivers how to drive the bus, very poor job at training them in security procedures, recognizing and reporting strangers, what to do in an emergency situation, how you would get a hold of the police, what to do when the police show up, what to do if you have somebody pull a gun on a bus, what to do if you have a stranger, a parent, or an irate parent, or an unusual person, a terrorist, approach a bus, even just simple things.
You know what, Glenn? At the end of the day, what I tell people is demand nothing short of absolute devotion to the school safety plan from your schools. You're a taxpayer. You pay those schools. If they say, we can't share this with you, it's sensitive information, say fine. Then I want somebody who I trust from the PTA on this. I want to form a committee, and I want them to report back to me a parent who says, I can't give you the details, but yes, it works, or no, it doesn't work. And get your local law enforcement agencies involved.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brad. Always a pleasure. Ken, thank you very much. All week we've been telling you about the special, the Perfect Day reports that are appearing in the free email newsletter. Please, if you haven't signed up yet at glennbeck.com, the time to do it is right now. Ken Trump has written a must-read guide. It's just full of tips and advice to prepare you and your children for any kind of crisis at the school. Also, I've been promising it to you all week, an exclusive video clip showing terrorists training for a school takeover and barking out commands in English. That video will be in the newsletter tomorrow. Don't miss it. Go to glennbeck.com and sign up right now. It is completely free. Back in a minute.